Who needs satellite radio? Power 88. Broadcasting live from the digital state-of-the-art studios at Dean College. This is WGAO Franklin, Massachusetts. Power 88. Southeastern New England's hottest rock. All day long.
Good morning. You are listening to the Alex Feuz Show, bringing you all of the news, sports debates, interviews with people you all care about, and so much more. Every single weekday on Dean College Power 88 Radio, broadcasting live from 7 to 8 a.m. And now, here's your host, Alex Feuz.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday, and we have another big show planned out for you this morning. I'm in the studio alongside Chaz Stoba. We'll be breaking down the Patriots game last night. The Patriots defeated the Jets and disposed of them and made the Jets look foolish. Now the Patriots continue to just roll through the NFL teams, and they remain undefeated, 7-0. Also, the World Series kicking off tonight. Astros Nationals, one of the best matchups we've seen in the World Series in the past few seasons, and it's going to be interesting to see whether or not the Nationals are able to create another upset in the playoffs in baseball. Also, the top 5 news headlines of the day. Zion Williamson, I'm making the headlines again, out for a decent amount of time, 6 to 8 weeks. So we'll break down that injury in the top 5 news headlines of the day and so much more. But starting off the show, joining me live in the studio, Chaz Silver with the weather today. Chaz, how's it looking out there?
Well, today's weather will be mostly cloudy with a chance of rain starting at 5 p.m. and continuing through the night. There'll be a high of 60 degrees and a low of 55, and as of right now, it is 48 degrees. Today will be warm for most of the day, but be prepared to open that umbrella come nighttime. This has been your weather update. Now, let's head over to our next segment, a debrief from last night's Patriots game.
Well, Chaz, were you able to watch the game last night?
I was.
So I know you're a Dolphins fan, right?
I am.
So what are your thoughts on the Patriots being 7-0 right now?
Well, it's no surprise the Patriots are 7-0 come this time in the season. They've played some pretty sad teams so far, minus the Bills, of course. They've put up quite the season so far.
Are you surprised that the Patriots are undefeated?
Not at all.
No?
If the Patriots go 16-0 this year in the regular season, I'm not going to be surprised at all.
How good do you think that defense is for New England?
The defense has definitely been pretty solid this year, but I'm more excited to see what they can do against a high-caliber offense like the Ravens, like the Chiefs, if Patrick Mahomes can come back and do what he does best.
Again, the Patriots defeated the Jets on Monday night, 33-0, and kind of made the Jets look bad. I mean, they just had a huge win over the Cowboys last Sunday, and now going into facing the Patriots last night, if you're the Jets, you thought, okay, we might have a shot to have another upset, and they didn't.
Yeah, Sam Darnold, anyone that watched the game was mortified by that performance by Sam Darnold. I mean, 4 interceptions by the Patriots, but if you watch the game, all 4 were off his back foot into coverage that should never been thrown.
And Sam Darnold said that he saw ghosts last night.
Yeah, which is something you're probably not going to want to say when you're mic'd up.
I couldn't believe that. I thought it was a joke. You know, all of a sudden I saw Ghostbuster tweets by everyone, and then I looked at the video, and I said, oh my gosh, he said that on live TV, that he's seeing ghosts playing the Patriots.
Yeah, it's not a good look for Sam Darnold, if I'm being honest.
Do you believe that what's next for the Jets? I mean, they 33-0 against the Patriots. Obviously, the Patriots are one of the best teams in the NFL today. What's next for the New York Jets?
I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say their season's not really going anywhere. At this point, the win against Cowboys is really just moving them down in the draft order right now. So, I mean, their best option right now is obviously play throughout the season and play hard, but they're going to want to start to rebuild for next year.
Tom Brady still looking like Tom Brady as he did 10 years ago. Yeah. Do you feel like, Chaz, that Adam Schefter was talking about it after the game last night, that this is all leading up to Tom Brady's last season in New England?
Yeah, I can't see that being remotely true. I mean, there's no actual backup to that, any evidence to that. He just made that claim thinking he's going to either retire this year or he's going to go to a different team. I think he's got at least 2 years left in the league, and I don't think he's going anywhere but the Patriots. I don't see him and Belichick going anywhere without each other.
Do you feel like it would hurt Tom Brady to play for another team?
Personally, I think Brady needs Belichick more than Belichick needs Brady. I think Belichick is a much better coach than he is a quarterback. Not to knock him as a quarterback, but Belichick has such a unique mind for football.
So do you feel like anyone's better than Belichick?
As a coach?
Yes.
Like all time or just right now? All time, honestly, no. And that's coming from a Dolphins fan with Don Shula winning as coach of all time. But honestly, there's no denying Belichick's football mind and his greatness and the legacy he's built with New England.
So you feel if Belichick went to any other team, he would be as successful, even though Tom Brady's not on his team?
I think he could definitely put up, maybe not exactly the same. 6 championships is pretty unique, but he could definitely turn around a lot of organizations.
And a lot of people feel that way. You know, they feel like Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time, and I think so as well. I think it's definitely something unique about the New England area, especially for the Patriots now. I mean, we talk about poor teams, right, in the NFL. Look at the Browns a few years back, and now the Browns still have a shot to do pretty well this season and in the future. But before Bill Belichick and the Tom Brady arrived in New England, they weren't great. They were actually pretty bad if you look back at the Patriots. And if you're a Patriot fan, if you were born in the mid-'90s and have been a Patriot fan ever since, you think the Patriots are the greatest NFL franchise of all time. I mean, they might be now because of how well they performed in the last 15 years. But if you've been a fan in the 70s and 80s, well, the Patriots were almost like the Miami Marlins of that time. You know, they were bad. But now the Patriots are now termed the greatest franchise of all time just because basically Tom Brady and Bill Belichick arrived here in Foxborough.
And the craziest part about that is if Drew Bledsoe never got injured in that game, we might never have saw that. He was a backup. He was 199th overall out of Michigan. No one really knew him. His combine wasn't anything special. And Belichick took a chance on him, and obviously morphed him into the quarterback that he is today.
And now here we are sitting and talking about someone that's playing in his 40s and being as successful as Baker Mayfield and just the young quarterbacks of the day, where Tom Brady's performing just like them. And here he is, one of the longest quarterback in the NFL, and playing so as if he's a rookie.
He's just an ageless wonder. I mean, at 42 years old, and he's still throwing and moving around the pocket like he's done for the past 10, 15 years. I mean, I don't know when he's going to stop, if he's going to stop. He's like a robot.
And again, we're talking about the Patriots' big victory over the Jets on Monday night, 33-0. Chaz, what do you think the Patriots need to improve on going forward? Again, they have some tough competition coming up, some quote-unquote real teams. If you are an NFL fan, you have the argument, well, the Jets but the Dolphins as well, again. But what's next for the Patriots? What do you think they need to do next?
Right now, I'd probably say they don't really have to change anything because, I mean, they got the highest point differential since, I think it was like 1920. They have the second most turnovers since like the 96 Packers who won the Super Bowl that year. Right now, obviously, they're on track to make it right through the playoffs, right to the Super Bowl, get a 7th title, you know. But I'm interested in seeing, like I said, how they can do against like a high caliber offense. So until they face a team, next week they have the Browns, who Baker Mayfield's been a bit of a sophomore slump, but Ravens next week, big offense there. Got a big 14-week matchup against the Chiefs. And I'd like to see how they do against offenses like that, and then I'll start to say what they need to improve on.
If the Patriots go undefeated this season and go into the playoffs, is it set in stone that they're going to win number 7?
I mean, I think that's what everyone was thinking before the Giants beat them a couple of years back. But if they keep playing like this and they keep playing at this caliber through the whole year, I don't see why they can't.
Well, again, another big win for New England as they stay undefeated, 7-0. Coming up next here on Power 88, top 5 news headlines of the day. What's making the headlines today? Next on Power 88. Welcome back to Power 88 Radio. Alex Feuz and Chad Stover bringing you up until the 8 o'clock hour this morning. Top 5 news headlines of the day this morning. Headline number 5, World Series starts tonight. Astros, Nationals. The Houston Astros say Justin Verlander and Zach Greinke will follow Garrett Cole in their rotation for the World Series against the Nationals, with Game 4 to serve as a bullpen day. And again, Washington ace Max Scherzer will oppose Cole tonight in the series opener in Houston. Chaz, big matchup, Astros-Nationals, one of the best matchups we've seen in the World Series, I would say, in the past few seasons. I would say maybe the last even matchup we've seen, probably the Red Sox and Dodgers from last year. And then if you look back, Cubs and Indians were pretty even as well. But these two rotations for both of these two teams are probably the best that we've seen in a very long time. And in the 2019 version of baseball, it's all about pitching. And we saw it right here with the Houston Astros, who really have assembled the 1-2-3 punch, something that we haven't seen in a lot of years. What do you think of tonight's matchup between the Astros and the Nationals?
I think it's phenomenal. You got Scherzer and you got Cole, arguably the two best pitchers in the MLB right now. 3-time Cy Young Award winner for Scherzer here, and honestly, I think it's just gonna be a pitcher's duel here. I mean, Astros have a higher-powered offense, but Scherzer's he's kind of locked down on the mound, and I think that they're both gonna go 6-7 innings. And it's gonna be a close game, decided by a run or two.
Looking at the whole best of 7 series, you have to win 4 in the World Series again, just like the American League and the National League Championship Series. Again, the Nationals just destroy the Cardinals, and then the Astros the Yankees put up a good fight with the Astros, pushing it to Game 6. But again, the Astros offense, the Astros rotation, the Astros bullpen, all coming up huge for them and defeating the Yankees in a big 6 games. Do you feel like that tonight is a must-win game for the Astros to get a first win in Houston, and then they have another game in Houston tomorrow night, and then now they're going into Washington with either 1 or 2 wins to really put on the pressure on the Nationals?
Yeah, you definitely don't want to go back to the opposing team's home ballpark with at least more than 1 loss. And I don't know. As far as being in Houston, you definitely want to get some home wins. You definitely want to get some early wins under the belt. You always want to get the first win, get the momentum going, get your whole team playing well. But I definitely say they need to win at least 1, but they'd like to win 2 at home. And
again, this is the team, the Nationals, that have been red hot. And they're kind of the underdogs of the playoffs. They were a wild card team. They pushed through that. They defeated the Dodgers, and then they made the Cardinals look foolish. And now they're facing the Astros, who really was termed, okay, we have the Yankees and the Astros, and whoever is going to win that series is most likely going to win the World Series. And now the Nationals are going to have to test that statement. Do you feel like the Nationals, again, red hot, but they've had a lot of days off from the last time they played the Cardinals, and the Astros just playing 2 nights ago? Do you feel like the time off of the Nationals cooled them down?
I guess that's remained to be seen, but Astros are definitely hot after that big walk-off to send them to the World Series. They've definitely got the energy with them. They've got the whole city of Houston behind them.
And it's in Houston as well.
Exactly. It's going to be an interesting matchup. I want to see the Nationals pull off an underdog win, at least 1 throughout the series. Back in mid-July, they had like a 0.1% chance of making the playoffs. And for them to really make this comeback and push this far into the playoff, it's something to see.
And that's a special thing about baseball. I mean, you could have the worst team in baseball going up against the best in a 3-game series, and the worst team could sweep them, or they could win 1 game or 2. And that's the thing that's so special about baseball, especially in the playoffs. There's something different about this sport in the playoffs. If you look back just at the 9th inning of Game 6 of the American League Championship Series, Gio Urshela on the Yankees, again, who was really the face of the next man up mentality that the Yankees had, coming out of nowhere, who struggled in his whole career and then joining the Yankees this past season, and then who's arguably, one of the crucial pieces of why the Yankees won 108 games total. And then you have a guy like DJ LeMahieu hitting the 2-run home run to tie the game 4-4. And DJ LeMahieu also kind of coming out of nowhere, and it makes the Rockies look even foolish to get rid of him, because playing in New York, he's up for MVP candidate. he could be a most valuable player on the Yankees. And in my opinion, he's definitely it. I mean, and he's a guy that really is still young, still has so much time left. And a lot of people are saying he could possibly be the next Derek Jeter. He has that clutch hit, he has a clutch moment, and he did so in Game 6, but it just wasn't enough. The Yankees didn't have enough big moments, and they didn't have enough clutch hits, and then they lost on a 2-run walk-off home run by Jose Altuve. And again, now the Astros are riding that momentum going into this series tonight. And this is what you prepare for, the 162-plus games a season, to make it to the World Series, and the Astros did so. It wasn't disappointment. Do you feel like if the Astros lose to the Nationals, this season is a failure?
Personally, I think any team that doesn't win the World Series, even if you get to the World Series, the season's a failure, more or less. Obviously, they did well enough to get the World Series, but I feel like if you get that far and you don't take the pennant home and you don't take the championship home to your city, the whole season, I mean, what'd you really do with it, And I don't want to disparage the Astros. Obviously, they've had an incredible season. They've had incredible seasons for the past couple seasons. But I don't know, I'd like to see how the series plays out. I'd like to see how the Nationals are going to play, how they're going to face the pitching staff.
Would you consider this Astros team a dynasty?
I'd have to give them at least another season or two of consistent playing, but at this caliber, absolutely. I mean, they're consistently winning 100 games a season. They're consistently shutting down offenses and putting up big numbers on defense.
The 2019 season is the third season in a row they won 100-plus games. They won the World Series 2 seasons ago. They lost to the Red Sox in the American League Championship Series last season. Now they're back in the World Series. I think they need one more championship to be considered a dynasty caliber. They're definitely not the Yankees of the late 90s, early 2000s yet, but I think they can be. Just look at the core. I mean, we talked about it before the show started. Jose Altuve, 29 years old. Carlos Correa. I mean, Yordan Alvarez, who's 22 years old and a rookie, has struggled in the postseason. But again, if you look back at the regular season, even before he made his major league debut, he was hitting almost 400 with 30 or close to 30 home runs in AAA, and then really kind of mirrored those same stats once he made his major league debut. So you have guys like that, and especially George Springer and all these core pieces on this Astros team where this is a must-win year for them. Because as soon as you start getting into the free agency and you can't have control over those rookies that you've had on your team and the homebred teams or players on the team, look what's happening to the Red Sox. I mean, they're going to have to face the fear of, are we going to have Mookie on the team next season, or are we going to trade him away while we still can and get something back? These are the conversations you need to start having once you have a successful multiple years. All right, now we can't afford them, especially with the new luxury taxes.
Absolutely. The young Astros core, you're definitely going to want to win some series. You're going to want to win some championships while they're all still young, while they're still in the proms, while a lot of them are still on their rookie contracts, before you have to start trading them away because you don't have the money for them or you don't have the team space for them or what have you. But while they're all still young like that, like you said, the Red Sox, I mean, Mookie Betts, he's going into his, fourth season? Mm-hmm. He's put up an MVP season. He's had an MVP season, runner-up another year, and he's kind of up in the air about whether or not he's going to stay in Boston. I mean, obviously the city's gonna want him to stay, management's going to want him to stay, but he's got to kind of explore his options and see where he wants to go for the rest of his career.
And we'll talk about the Game 1 of the World Series in about 25 minutes to finish out the show. But headline number 4, California woman returns a library book 74 years overdue.
74 years. How do you even get that far?
I don't know. It said that a California woman who was cleaning out her study found a library book her mother had checked out 74 years earlier, and she returned it. She actually returned the book, and said Berkeley library workers said that they were surprised Friday when Jean Durham brought in a copy of Sir Walter Scott's Lady of the Lake that her mother had checked out in 1945. She said, quote, "My mother did buy some books, but mostly she came from the Berkeley Public Library. We were always surrounded by books, she said, and the library official said that there was no fine. And as the faculty did away with the late fees in 2018.
I can't even imagine the fine they would amount of 75 years late, 74 years.
That's insane.
And
I mean,
can you
that's a
imagine-
fear of mine. I
Yeah.
have a feeling that I do have a book somewhere at home that I just never returned.
Just forgot about 74 years later.
No, I definitely do. I definitely have. I'm thinking back. I definitely do have a couple books from either my school library or the public library that I never returned.
Can you imagine the look on the librarian's face when someone came in, tried to return a book 74 years later? Probably weren't even alive.
I would put in my 2 weeks. Are you kidding? Someone tries to return a book 74 years later? That's insane. Absolutely insane. Headline number 3. Meet the couple camping out for 96 hours to be Arizona's White Castle's first customers. Did you see this?
I did see this actually. It's they're camping out for quite some time.
96 hours
Yeah.
standing in the doorway to her spacious travel trailer with a silver metal crown atop her head. Jamie West looks south across a busy parking lot in Scottsdale, Arizona, and she said she has a bit of a White Castle obsession, she says with a smile. I've never had a White Castle. Have you had White Castle?
I have not had a White Castle.
But people go crazy for White Castle.
I've heard a lot of good things about it, yeah.
And so she waited for 96 hours outside the Arizona new restaurant that's opening up. And it's Arizona's first White Castle. And it opened on this past Saturday. And no, it actually opens tomorrow morning, but she's been out there since Saturday morning. And she says that the company expects hundreds of fans to show up, and she wants to be the first one.
I mean, 4 days in advance, I'd sure hope she's the first one.
You know, that's like taking Black Friday to a whole new level. You know, some
Yeah.
people start camping out the night before Black Friday to get their Best Buy deals or whatever it may be, but 96 hours for White Castle.
She just wants her White Castle. What can I tell you?
Unbelievable. You know, people are insane. I just don't know anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
Headline number 2, tornadoes leave heavy damage, power outages in its wake after moving through Dallas. And this tornado is interesting because it kind of came out of nowhere. There were no warnings. It kind of just came out of nowhere and left a lot of damage in Dallas, Texas. And still, a lot of people are without power. Yesterday morning, over 100,000 people were without power in the Dallas area. And now they say, including the Love Field area, were hit especially hard. And this is a scary story. And it now confirmed, the Weather Service confirmed 2 tornadoes early Monday afternoon. So they were hit again Monday afternoon as well as Sunday night. So 3 major tornadoes in the last 48 hours in the Dallas, Texas area. So a scary time in Texas. And the crazy thing is about this story is they came out of nowhere. I know they knew about the second tornado that happened in the afternoon of yesterday, but the first tornado they didn't even know about.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that two of the tornadoes are both 80 miles an hour plus, or all 3 of them actually. One's 80, one's 100 miles an hour, and the last one is actually estimated of winds of up to 140 miles per hour. That is absolutely just awful to hear. Thoughts and prayers obviously going up to the families affected in Texas and in Dallas and throughout there.
And especially, I mean, Texas especially has those different weather conditions. You could either get with a hurricane or a tornado or an earthquake, and it's just such a scary place. But again, our thoughts and prayers go out to Dallas during this definitely hard time. And then the last headline of the day, it's something that I always like to close this part of the show on, is what national day it is. And every single day, I question why we create these holidays, because every single day is something so strange. For example, last Friday was National Chocolate Cupcake Day. Who would have thought this up, you know?
How do you need that kind of day?
Yeah. Yesterday was National Clean Your Laptop Day. If you feel like your laptop is too cluttered with a bunch of junk, you need to clean it. And now today is National Make a Dog's Day. So National Make a Dogs Day on October 22nd provides an opportunity to give all dogs the best day of their lives. The day not only encourages visits to shelters, but it also is a reminder to animal lovers everywhere to adopt instead of shop for a new pet. Approximately 3.3 million dogs enter shelters in the United States annually. And then they also say if a dog could talk. Imagine if dogs could talk, what they would say.
I can't even imagine what my dogs would be saying.
But it's a whole focus on to adopt a dog, which I always love to adopt dogs, and we have 2 home right now. And it says, of course, adoption is just one way to make a dog's day. Also, regular checkups, check with your veterinarian for the schedules that fit your dog. Vaccinations, different schedules apply depending on where you live. And then new blankets or treats are always welcome too. As they say, you can stop by a participating Subaru retailer during the month of October and donate new pet supplies, which the automaker will be collecting throughout the month of October. And then it says, if you're already the owner of a beloved pet, take the extra time to make your dog's day and repay the unconditional love with creative tokens of a doggone appreciation day.
Well, they do say dog's a man's best friend.
Well, that's so true. And, you know, I do miss my dogs here on campus because I don't go home too often, and I definitely miss my dogs. But so happy National Make a Dog Day. And, I would say you could bring your dog to have a treat, maybe some ice cream.
Definitely if my dog was close enough to me, I'd take him out to ice cream. But they're back home right now. Miss both of them, but hoping they'll have a good day. Good National Make a Dog's Day.
Absolutely. But coming up next, we'll be talking about the NBA and some huge injuries hitting the NBA right now. Coming up next on Power 88. Welcome back to Power 88 Radio. Alex Feuz and Chasso are bringing you up until the 8 o'clock hour this morning. Next here on the show, NBA news. Pelicans Zion Williamson out 6 to 8 weeks after knee scope, and it's been a while before the first player taken in the NBA draft gets a chance to showcase his talents in a regular season game. And this is an unfortunate story for Zion Williamson, one of the most talked about rookie NBA players for the Pelicans. Again, one of the top players this season, and he's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. Not exactly how the Pelicans wanted to start, as well as Zion Williamson.
Absolutely not. The Pelicans were probably definitely banking on Zion Williamson kind of taking control of their team. And the Pelicans even themselves are looking like a possible low seed playoff contender. Mm-hmm. They got a pretty young core with Lonzo Ball, they got Brandon Ingram. They even got veteran JJ Redick, and this injury is definitely gonna slow them down for the start of the season. And hope to see him coming back in a minimum amount of time.
Again, the Duke star averaged 23 points in 4 preseason games this past season. And again, this injury comes at the wrong time. And the start to the NBA season, again, the NBA season is almost similar to the baseball season. It's so long and drawn out. It's not like you have to win every single game unless you're the Golden State Warriors, I guess. But again, this is a tough injury and a tough injury pill to swallow if you're the Pelicans, because you wanted to start off the season strong, and especially having Zion on the team, they were going to do that, but now the injury hurting them. And do you feel like overall this is going to hurt the Pelicans in the long run?
The long run, I'm not so sure about, but 6 to 8 weeks in the beginning of the season definitely can set them back early. We'll have to see if they can bounce back once he comes back, or even muddle along through the beginning of the season and try and scrape some wins across without him.
Also in the news in the NBA world, several young NBA stars received contract extensions just before Monday's deadline for teams to negotiate a deal. The Pacers have signed power forward Domantas Sabonis and to a 4-year extension, as ESPN.com says. It's worth $77 million and can climb to $85 million with bonuses. Again, Sabonis finished as a runner-up for the NBA Six-Man Award last season after averaging a career high of 14 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists in the season. And this is a big extension.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a man that deserves to be paid, in my opinion. Like you said, runner-up for Six-Man right behind Lou Williams, who won it last year as well, looking to win it again this year. So it's hard to win that award, but the runner-up season that he had, like you said, all career highs for him, and it was a career year, and he definitely deserves this extension. He's a pretty pivotal part to that Pacers team.
Another extension came from the Kings. Buddy Hield has agreed to a multi-year contract extension. Hield started all 82 games for the Kings last season, averaged 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. And again, this is another crucial contract. These teams are looking to build their core. They're trying to take a page out of the Warriors' book that they've really mastered for the last 10 seasons. Build from the core that you have on the team, and this is how you do it. You get guys that can really lead the team and be the leader that's needed, and then you try to build around them, and that's what the Kings are doing. The Pacers and the Celtics, we'll talk about the Celtics next, but again, this is another crucial piece for the Kings.
Yeah, and especially for the re-signing here, he was really considering leaving the team. He was looking at his options. He's a really good shooter, and he's a really key part of this Kings offense that they have, and it's a really good thing that they re-signed him.
Again, also a lot of contract extensions. The Celtics have held on to one of their top young players by signing forward Jaylen Brown to a 4-year extension that's worth up to $115 million, a third overall pick in the 2016 NBA draft. Started just 25 of 74 games while averaging 13 points and 4 rebounds last season. But again, this was one of the bright spots from the Celtics season. The Celtics struggled last year. They didn't have the team chemistry that they needed. But this year, there's a lot of talk about how the chemistry is a lot better than it was last season, and there's a couple reasons why that is. But again, this is another crucial contract extension, especially for the Celtics.
Yeah, and this one actually surprised me because, like you said, he only averaged 13 points, 4 rebounds last season, and to be making $30 million a year, nearly, it was surprising to me. But also, he, like you said, was one of the bright spots of the team, and played in the Olympics last year. He was a lone bright spot on that team as well that didn't make the gold medal for I don't know, a while. Can't remember the last time that they didn't make didn't win the gold in that. But we'll have to see how he's doing. He has talent. It's apparent there, but we're gonna have to see how he does next season with this contract section.
When you look at the NBA, obviously the Lakers are kind of that at the forefront, as well as the Clippers as well, and the Celtics are in there, and the Spurs are mixed in there too. There's a lot of those teams that I feel like the NBA has really evened out, especially for this season as a whole. Do you feel like the NBA has evened out for this season?
Absolutely. Actually, 2 or 3 years ago, I didn't even want to watch the NBA. It was the Cavaliers, it was the Warriors. The Warriors would always make the finals. Cavaliers would always lose to them. They won that one year, but it just got boring. It was the Warriors every year, and it seems like of anyone, Kawhi Leonard kind of brought balance to this. He went to Toronto, he won the championship, he beat the Warriors, seemingly quote unquote ended the dynasty, and he left, went to the Clippers, joined Paul George. We're gonna see how that team's going. They're gonna be in a power struggle with the Lakers for the best team in Los Angeles. It's definitely gonna be a lot more interesting of an NBA season than we've seen in recent years.
How important is the Celtics season to not be, quote-unquote, a failure again? The Celtics season last year was a failure. If you ask a lot of fans and the teammates on the team last season, they felt like they had enough talent to go to the finals and win it, and they didn't.
Yeah, Kyrie Irving leaving the team could be good, could be bad. He, obviously, there's no denying he's a talented player. He's one of the top players in the league right now. But I'm not sure if the chemistry was there with the Celtics. And Gordon Hayward coming back after the injury, he's definitely going to be a pivotal role in that team. And they have a pretty young core, so they're going to, like the Astros even, they're going to want to do a lot with a young core while they still have it.
There's a lot of talk right now, especially in baseball, about top guys leaving teams and them doing well. For example, Bryce Harper and the Nationals. right? Bryce Harper signs a big contract with the Phillies, left Washington. Now they're in the World Series. Again, it's all about that aspect. If you look back about, almost 20 years, that's crazy to think about. The Mariners and Alex Rodriguez and Ken Griffey Jr. When A-Rod left the Mariners, again, they started winning ball games more. It's all about that team dynamic. And I feel like, personally, with Kyrie Irving no longer on the Celtics, that's a team chemistry factor. You want to have fun when you win ball games. And if the Celtics can have that team chemistry and to just really hone in on just playing as a team and having fun while winning, where a lot of times they would win games and still be frustrated with one another last season, that they could go very far and finally win a championship in Boston once again.
It'd be nice to bring another championship back to the city of Boston.
It never happens, does it?
Yeah. It's a pretty dry spell right now in Boston. The Patriots haven't been doing too well, as you know. But I think it'd be pretty crucial for the Celtics to, even if they don't win the championship, at least make a run at the title, make it into the playoffs, make it deep, show that they have some promise, show that they have some team chemistry starting to build.
Who would you say is one of the most underrated teams in the NBA today? Is it the Spurs?
Honestly, in my opinion, and this might be, how do I say it? This might be unpopular in a way. The Warriors, to me, are pretty underrated. A lot of analysts are, they're selling them short. They're saying they lost KD. They're not the same team. They're not going to have Clay. But I think they're only projected for about 48.5 is over-under for the wins, which I think is just critically low for me. They still have Steph Curry, who a lot of people are saying are going to have a huge season because he's back like 2015 days where they didn't have Kevin Durant, which is him, Clay, Draymond. Plus they had the addition of D'Angelo Russell, who's going to be an interesting backcourt, him and Steph Curry, while Klay Thompson is out. So I definitely see them still making a shot at the title.
And again, I have to agree with you. I feel like a lot of people are kind of sleeping on the Warriors. And it's kind of funny to talk about because they've been so successful for so long, and that's dynasty. When you talk about dynasties, 100%. And again, it's almost like near the end of the dynasty in a way, and especially where they felt like the dynasty ended last season. But I think you can still get a few more years out of it. Again, if you look back at the Yankees, late 90s, early 2000s, a lot of people would say that was a dynasty. And the Yankees ended up winning another World Series in 2009. A little more spaced out for the Warriors, but again, it's right outside the window of just the dynasty years, and I would agree with you. I think the Warriors still can win another championship, and maybe this is their year. They have a lot of competition, though. That's the difference maker. 5 years ago, it was whatever team LeBron James is on or the Warriors, in a way, right?
Yeah.
And now that's no longer the case. Maybe because of the Lakers now, because LeBron, again, Lakers, but the Lakers are more of a well-rounded team, and it's not just LeBron James. But again, the Warriors are going to have to face a lot of different competition that 5 years ago, it was that unbalanced league that we were talking about, to where, again, LeBron James, Warriors, that was your final.
Yeah, and even with LeBron James this year, teaming up with AD in Los Angeles, Boogie Cousins wanting to go there, unfortunately getting injured, going to miss the season. They've got a lot of depth on that team, and it's definitely going to be a lot more interesting than just LeBron and the Misfit Gang versus the almighty Golden State Warriors.
100%. But coming up next here on Power 88, we're going to give our predictions of tonight's matchup between the Astros and the Nationals, Game 1 of the World Series. Max Scherzer taking on Garrett Cole. I have an interesting take on tonight's game. Next on Power 88. Welcome back to Power 88 Radio. Alex Feuz and Chaz Stoller bringing you up until the 8 o'clock hour this morning. Astros, Nationals, Game 1 of the World Series. America's pastime. Again, the World Series, one of the most special games and series of the calendar year, in my opinion. I think postseason baseball is right up there with March Madness. again, especially with the MLB kind of marketing towards that. We're filling out the bracket type mindset where you have to predict who's going to go move on each round of the postseason of the playoffs in baseball. And the Astros from the American League and the Nationals from the National League team both making the World Series. Tonight, Garrett Cole facing off Max Scherzer, two of the best pitchers in all of baseball. And I have a feeling, Chaz, that Max Scherzer is going to shut down the Astros offense, and the Nationals are going to win the World Series.
That's a bold take from you, and I'm gonna say I like the take. I like the way you're thinking. I like the pitching staff of the Astros, but I like the pitching staff of the Nationals a little bit more. You know, Scherzer coming off a huge year. He had a sub-3 ERA again for seems like the millionth time in his career. And even facing a strong lineup like the Astros, I can definitely see the Nationals staying hot and rolling through this World Series and bringing a title home for Washington.
This is the Nationals team that is riding on the underdogs. This is a team that defied the odds. I hope my prediction comes true because I can't wait to watch a 30 for 30 that ESPN does about this 2019 Washington Nationals team. They started the season. I mean, if you look back at they're in mid-June, they were almost 15 games below 500. And they say once you are kind of get through like 40 or 50 games into the season, that kind of gives you a gauge if we're going to be successful or if this is going to be an off year. And a lot of people said, and a lot of quote-unquote intelligent baseball mindset, that there's no chance for the Nationals this season. They defied the odds, and here they are today going up against the Houston Astros in the World Series. And then the Nationals defying the odds, defeating the Dodgers, defeating the Cardinals, and now going up against the Astros. And it makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. No one would have beat the Dodgers, right? The Dodgers are going to make the World Series, and the Dodgers are going to win the World Series because they have in the past 3 seasons. And now here they are getting eliminated in the first round of the playoffs, and now talk about failures. Where you could have back-to-back-to-back seasons that's termed a failure. And you're led by the best pitcher in baseball and possibly could be the best pitcher of all time that we're seeing in pitch, Clayton Kershaw, and having him just explode in the playoffs once again.
Yeah, it's sad to see because you see Kershaw continually dominate every single year in, year out in the regular season. You see him rack up the strikeouts, top of the leaderboards in every pitching category you can imagine, and he gets to the playoffs and something about his pitching, maybe something about his mindset, something about the way he thinks in the playoffs, it just hasn't clicked for him yet. And that's something that the Dodgers can't be having because if they're going to be a legitimate playoff contender and a legitimate World Series contender every year, they need their ace to be an ace in the playoffs. And that's something that Kershaw hasn't really been able to deliver for them in years past.
So again, World Series Game 1 tonight. Astros, Nationals. I just gave my prediction. Nationals in 6 games. Chaz, who do you have winning the World Series this year?
As much as I'd like to see the Nationals be the underdog and defy all odds, I can't see the Nationals really getting past this power-packed lineup that the Astros have. I mean, I'm looking at their lineup right now and their stats for the regular season. Their first 6 batters are all batting .300. They got a team 275 average. They got Bregman, who's coming on a possibly MVP season. Going to be competing with DJ LeMahieu, Mike Trout, some of the best in the game. And they're having a pitching staff that really has been rivaled by none other. Like you said, that 3-pitcher punch with Cole, Greinke, and Verlander, who are 3 of the best pitchers in the game right now. It's going to be very tough for the Nationals to beat them. But that being said, any given team on any given day.
And again, the Nationals are red hot. They were on, I believe it was a 9-game win streak to finish out the regular season, and now riding that hot wave ever since, and just defying all the odds in the playoffs, and why can't they do it one more time? And that's the question that a lot of people are having out there. And if you're a Nationals fan, and I would say that if you are a National League fan, you're rooting for the Nationals. This is the first time that there's been a championship game in Washington, D.C. since the 1930s. And this is a Washington Nationals team that, again, the underdogs, and I love the underdog mentality. I love the underdogs, and this is a matchup that, again, could be one of the best matchups we see in today's game. But we said it. Jazz, you have the Astros winning the World Series. I have the Nationals. We'll see who wins Game 1 tonight. I have to lean towards Garrett Cole tonight, the best pitcher in baseball. The Nationals win tomorrow night. They go into Washington, D.C., Series 1-1, and then the Nationals have to win 2 or 3 of the games, and then they send it back to Houston to win Game 6. But once again, signing off for Chaz Sober, I'm Alex Feuz. Thank you for listening this morning. Another big show here on Power 88 tomorrow morning, starting at 7 a.m. Have a great rest of the day, everyone, and be kind to one another.